Excited today to welcome Rick Chen to the show. Rick is from the Strategy and Transformation Office at City of Richmond Hill. Rick, I'm going to hand over to you to give us a bit of an introduction before we get into this very exciting discussion today.
Well, thank you, Bianca, and thanks for this opportunity. I'm Rick Chen from Toronto, Canada. Yes, it is cold up in Canada. And for those that are wondering, it's May and it's still 1 degrees outside. So yes, it is cold, but we love it. And when it gets more than 10 degrees, everybody's in shorts. So we love it here. I've been in the process improvement industry for about 18 years. Worked in 7 different sectors. Municipality is one of those sectors that I've been in recently for the last 2 years. I manage various teams from process improvement to accreditation to PMOs in the past. And municipality is an interesting and exciting opportunity for me to apply the same learnings and understandings from manufacturing, from healthcare, from horticulture into municipal government, so that they can think about processes, people, and technology in a different lens and through what we call a Kaizen eye, and then build up that people development, those teams. So yeah, very exciting.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rick. I've had the privilege to chat to you before in one of our council meetups, and stemming from that was this discussion that we're having today around the topic of the accountability shift, leading municipal teams towards continuous operational excellence. So I'm going to go straight into the first question, as I know this is going to be a really exciting discussion. Many municipalities talk about operational excellence, but they treat it as a project with an end date. Why do you believe a fundamental accountability shift is required to make excellence a continuous habit rather than a one-time initiative?
It's a very, very good question. Continuous improvement and operational excellence, they kind of go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And unfortunately, like habits, it doesn't just stop. And it's not like you implement a new system and then you have a system, you walk away. Because it's a shift in habit, there needs to be a shift in how we continue to be accountable to do some of the things that the excellence system ask us to do. And sometimes we revert back because it's change is difficult. Human beings are not creatures of change. So in order to really make continuous improvement stick, it needs to be what we call it board to floor. From a board to floor activity and a shift in how we manage our day-to-day in order for that accountability to happen. Because without that, it's just another flavor of the month, they call it, right? And then the teams are like, oh yeah, we've heard about this lean program. It's going to die in 2 years and they're going to talk about something else. So it's important that it's a longer term commitment, that it gets onto the strategy, actually few strategies, so that it becomes something that's ingrained into what we do every day. And that's how Toyota has taught us the success of it, is that it has to be woven into its DNA.
Perfect. Thanks for that. You just briefly mentioned about accountability. You can't really hold someone accountable for a process they don't have the skills to execute. How do you identify where a team's capability ends and where a leadership or resource gap begins?
It's a very good question. This is a very typical question that we get a lot from our senior leaders or C-suites when we have these discussions and conversations. this is where we ask them, what is the structure in place for you to surface these gaps? And we say, if you don't have that, you need to put a structure in. We call it a structure process confirmation or a management system. People go, well, we manage, Rick. We manage things every day. We have a management system. My question is, how consistent are we in executing our management system, right? So from the CEO downward, how often does the CEO communicate to their VPs? How often does the VPs talk about the operations with their directors? How often does the directors talk about those process gaps with their managers? How often does the manager talk to about the processes and inconsistencies with the supervisors, and the supervisor to the team leader to the floor? And how often does the CEO come down to the floor, right? All of those structure and understanding in process confirmation, daily huddles, weekly metric reviews creates an opportunity to say, there is a gap. It's not a person capability, it's a process issue, a process capability. And once that surfaces, the accountability shifts from a person being accountable to a process being accountable. And that's when you're starting to move into a more systematic way to manage your operation versus a heavy reliance on the individual. And that's a waste in itself in lean or the Toyota production system, right? Where overburdens of an individual is one of the wastes.
Rick, I want to go a bit more practical. How has your team evolved its measurement strategy to ensure that KPIs actually drive better community outcomes? Is it possible for you to share an example with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So at this city, in 2012, 2022, sorry, previous to me joining, the team has already put together what we are calling as the organizational management framework. It's a framework based on this idea of a structure management system, so that we can really look at the services at the city in a more methodical manner, starting with what are some of the priorities that are mandatory, essential, and discretionary coming from legislation, council directives, community engagement components, understanding and categorizing the ways that we are doing things at the city, at each department, and then having and asking the question to say, how are we doing on service X, service Y, service Z? And is it okay? Is it going well? Or actually it's moving in a direction that we should be honing on. So that structure, that approach that we're still in the midst of deploying now. So again, it's not a one and fast journey. We started the journey back in 2022, and it's 2026. We're still helping teams to get there and understand and see the outcomes of that measurement. I think we're seeing the light at the tunnel. And an example in our, we call Lean Yellow Belt program recently was an example that I can share with you around ice rink bookings. So Canadians love their hockey, right? The community ice rink time is much cheaper than commercial ice rinks, and it books up fast. So there always is demand for the most time. But however, the coordinators and the managers don't really look at it as a measure, because they're like, oh, it's always booked up. We always have a wait list. However, when they start looking at it, they found that yes, they're booked up at a certain time. At the same time, there's a lot of cancellations. So without looking at ice rink bookings as a measure, they weren't able to see the bookings versus the cancellation, the actual real usage. And that was actually lower than what they expected. So by identifying the measure, having the teams to continue to measure, it became real and very, very fast surfaced the problem of not only the booking system itself, and that they were getting much more cancellations at specific locations, at specific time periods that they realized. So they were able to now pivot based on this insight on how the booking system worked. It was cumbersome. It had a lot of rework confirmation. And then they were able to work on those cancellations on those particular days to really maximize rank usage. And it's for the benefit of everyone, because there is a wait list, right? There is demand. However, because we never put a spotlight in and really understood it and managed it like I said, that kind of structure pattern, it didn't turn the results we were looking for.
That's amazing.
It's like status quo, right? We always say it's like status quo. We always manage it that way. We've always done it that way. Just continue to move a wheelbarrow down the street with a square wheel. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, we're just busy. Like, hold on, guys. Just take a step back. What's the mechanics that's happening here?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that example. I know the viewers are going to resonate with that. You mentioned earlier that accountability shift needs to happen from individual to process. That leads me to my next question. True accountability often requires people to admit when a process is failing or not working. How do you build a continuous improvement culture where staff feel safe enough to flag inefficiencies in processes without fear or blame?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, right? You're talking about people that are very passionate and feel naturally, I do a good job and I'm really good at doing my job, right? I've been doing this for 16 years, 20 years. There's no problem. We just need more staff and more resources. So there really isn't an easy fix. However, if we look at the example from sports or from martial arts, we understand that failure is a pathway to success. And that data is just data, right? In the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, he went in to manage a new baseball team, and instead of bringing in the best guys on the team, he looked at the average statistics, and he based his new team dynamics on the average statistic batting. So using data, using guys, the information is what it is. It's not you or I, it's the information. We can't change that. However, we can change our behavior to react on that information, right? That's the difference between telling you and letting you see. Here's where we are, guys. This is the information. What are we going to do about it? That we have control over. So showing the information transparently, showing the information with a no bias is the way that we get people on board. Because we're not talking about you, we're talking about this. This route of pickup is taking too long. It's costing us more gas dollars and more travel time than it is. It's not Bob, it's not Joe, it's not Sam. Yeah. It's the process. So how do we optimize the route so that we can save some gas, save the environment, and get you home quicker? Now, let's talk about it. So we make the process in its own island, and we put everybody on the other side of that, and we look at it as an objective, right? Here's the object. It's not people. It's here's the process, and people are looking at the process. So that's, I think, what's important. And that's where process improvement is so powerful, is because you're getting the people all on the same page. And then you say, here's what it is, right? Look at sports. Here's how we're performing, right? Here's how the machine is performing. Let's look at how we change the machine. What levers do we have that we have control over that we can change the machine? Let's go test it. If we go through that kind of mentality, then you're like, okay, this might work, right? So I think it's coming over that threshold, and there's no easy answer. I can talk about
Absolutely.
it, but sometimes it's like, no, that's me. That's, the people are just very stuck on that's my process and it's me, as opposed to
Mm.
it's a process. It's just how we do things. But let's take a step back and analyze that. And of course, sports analogies, martial arts analogies, all of those everyday life scenarios really help them understand that, right? New Year resolution. It's May. Did you finish and able to complete your New Year resolution? Right. What changes did you make in order to get your to where you need to go from a goal? There's no objectivity there. There's no subjectivity there. Sorry, it's just objectives.
Mm-mm. Thanks so much for sharing that, Rick. I really think that is something for our viewers to really think about and digest. So thank you for sharing that. I want to shift the conversation a bit to talk about leaders. What is the biggest mindset shift required from municipal leaders to move from a more command and control style to one that empowers teams to own their performance?
Yeah, that's the first aha moment I came to when I came from different sector to a municipality.
Mm, mm,
It's a lot of we've been doing it that way for the last
absolutely.
number of years,
Yeah.
and that's the way we do things here, right? And the second one we hear is we are different from healthcare, we are different from a cardboard packaging plant, and we are different from the municipality a stone throw away. However, information and experience has told us that that's not true. So to move the thinking of the leader is through experiencing.
Mm,
They leaders have to experience and really see what's actually happening and experience the intricacies for them to really see and shift their mind. And we always say, as opposed to ask about what was done, what was executed, really ask about what is the outcome. What was the outcome of that particular activity, right?
mm.
And then we ask the question, what structure management practices do you and your team have to ensure that the outcome is met, right? And then how often do you go and see the outcome?
Yeah.
So having the ability to move the thinking of a leader in those kind of attributes really helps
Mm.
them understand the need to focus more on a process, a systematic way that can do it over and over again without having to critically think through it. But bringing the leaders closest to the front line helps them shift their mindset, right? Um, in another organization I was part of, one of the things that we did from the very get go, before we even started making improvements on the
Mm.
floor, was we asked the owners of this horticulture company to say, you guys need to, how often do you guys walk the floor? And they're like, well, no, Rick, we walk the floor all the time. I go, no, walk the floor with purpose, not with
Excellent.
command, right? Not with, I'm going to check on you and do stuff, but with purpose. Walk the floor with purpose to say, what's going on? What are the
Mm.
outcomes? What are the things that's breaking down? How can we support you? So when you walk the floor with purpose and really start seeing with your eyes, that's a very different conversation than walking the floor to check on everything if
Yeah.
it's the way it is, right? And at the hospitals, we did the same thing.
Mm.
Hospital setting, we asked the CEOs, the VP to say, how often do you physically go and speak to patients and staff on the floor? How often do you go by and ask about the outcomes that they're getting and the processes that the results you're liking to see? Tell them to show you. Go and see it. If you can see it, then you're like, huh. something is broken.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the attributes towards a servant leadership versus a command leadership. But those take structure, management
Yeah.
practice, and having a leadership team to go and see and a set schedule confirms that certain processes are in place or not in place, and then asking genuinely supportive questions and interests on how we can get better on those particular confirmations really drives the machine to more of a supportive servant leadership environment.
Well, Rick, you've really shared some powerful insights today. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go into our final question, which is currently a very hot topic for everyone. As we look at the future of municipal operations, how does AI and automation support the accountability shift? Does it make it easier to track performance, or does it change the very nature of what we hold teams accountable for? If you can elaborate on that a bit more.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about AI in the municipal space, and there's a lot about, well, what can we automate. The the challenge or the obstacle that we're going to face is, how is that process being done now, and is that process being done consistently?
Yeah.
And do we have data in order to feed the AI machine? If we are still working with papers, individual spreadsheets, email chains, in order to automate, you must standardize. And that's the same pathway that manufacturers went when they went from, high labor to robotics. In order for you to move towards software or move towards a new robotic, there must be some level of standardization,
Yeah.
and there must be some improvement first to tighten it, to streamline the processes in order for you to apply the technology, because the machine won't be able to tell where it's coming from. Now, AI is a different beast on its own, where it can start making those connections for you, but to a certain extent, you still have to be able to have the information all in one place. Where I see the challenges with AI is that there is a clash of, oh, is AI doing it faster, and do I have to double check it?
Yeah.
Well, if you build the Gentic AI engine to mimic your process that is standardized, and that you put in a checkpoint in place, then it can speed up the task that you're doing, and it could do it all day long, right? There is a fear there at municipalities, right? Just like in other sectors, to say, hey, will AI take away or eliminate certain roles and jobs?
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
fear is real, right? And it will change the way that we do business. However, what we learn from manufacturing and from automation through robotics is that it merely morphed the way that we're doing things, as opposed to eliminate the things we're doing, the way that jobs are being done. And I think that's something that culturally needs to shift from a mindset perspective, is, as opposed to doing that task, coming into work and doing that task repetitively, call that processing permits, or reviewing a planning diagram. You're now maybe coding how the AI is interpreting it. You might give you now more capacity to look at the differences between them, or more avenue streams of, how do we do this a little bit better? How do we train the AI to do this versus that, and pick up these subtle hints? So what we've seen in history is that when there is a new disruption that's applied, jobs, functions change. However, human beings are very adaptable to how we do things,
Yeah.
right? So we will find a way to morph the roles to adapt and work with AI. And AI is here to stay, unfortunately. It will be part of our embedment to automate. It will become a staple to automate, and then it will start to plateau. So it is easier to track performance. It makes it very easy for us to know that question of what's the outcome and where are we at. Those two questions, an AI automation engine can really tell us that very quickly. So it reduces that lead time for us to make that decision. So it will change naturally how we hold teams accountable, because now that accountability is no, we have to wait until the analyst or the data is available. No, the data is available today. I can tell, see right now. So I actually hold team to that accountability much more, and there's a close of that latency.
That's amazing, Rick. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for your time today, coming on the show, sharing your insights on this crucial topic. Before we conclude, is there any final message you'd like to share with our viewers today?
Thank you for the opportunity. I think sharing insights across different sectors is really key here. And think municipality has a lot of potential. And also, I always say, go and see different municipalities, go and see different industries, and really humbly watch, see, and learn, and see where there's takeaway and genuinely develop their teams.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rick. To our viewers, thank you for joining us today. Just a reminder to stay updated with BPM Real Talk. We have many more exciting episodes. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us to stay updated on our latest episodes. Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you for joining us today.
For the opportunity.
Thank you.